The 2-litre VTEC engine in this is astonishing.
Jeremy Clarkson once sat in this car, revved it to 9,000 RPM and looked like a man who had just discovered religion. He wasn't wrong. He's rarely wrong about the things that actually matter. But here's what I've always believed, and I've believed it for as long as I've been doing this. The S2000 isn't just a great sports car. It isn't just a great Japanese sports car. It is, in my opinion, the single most perfectly realized expression of what a Roadster should be. Full stop. No caveats, no asterisks. And I think it deserves to be examined properly. Not with a checklist, not with a lap time comparison or a 0 to 60 figure pulled from a press release, but with the kind of serious, genuine attention that we reserve for things that are actually historically important. Because the Honda S2000 is historically important, and most people, even people who call themselves car enthusiasts, don't fully understand why. So let's fix that. To understand the S2000, you have to understand the moment it came from. The year was 1999. The automotive world was, broadly speaking, going in a very specific direction. Turbocharged engines were becoming more sophisticated and more prevalent. Electronic driver aids were multiplying. Cars were getting heavier, more capable, more insulated from the road beneath them. The general philosophy seemed to be that the ideal sports car was one that was fast in a straight line, grippy in a corner, and required as little actual skill from the driver as possible. Honda looked at this philosophy and, with the quiet, devastating confidence of a company that had just spent 30 years proving everyone else wrong, decided to go in the completely opposite direction. They appointed a chief engineer named Shigeru Uehara. And Uehara, by all accounts, was a man with an almost monastic devotion to a single idea. That idea was this: a great sports car should communicate. It should talk to the driver. It should reward attention and punish laziness. It should be, in the most literal sense, a partnership between the machine and the human being controlling it. What Honda achieved here is, when you think about it carefully, a kind of philosophical statement disguised as a product launch. At a time when the industry was moving toward isolation and automation, Honda deliberately, consciously, almost defiantly built a car that demanded engagement, that demanded presence, that demanded, above all else, that you actually drive it. I find that extraordinary, and I find it increasingly rare. The S2000 debuted at the Tokyo Motor Show in 1998 and went on sale in April of 1999, timed with a sense of occasion I deeply respect to coincide with Honda's 50th anniversary. It wasn't a concept. It wasn't a halo car designed to generate press coverage and then disappear. It was a production vehicle, built to be bought and driven and used, and it was built, from the very first sketch, around one component above all others: the engine, the F20C. In my opinion, and I want to be very clear that this is a considered, researched, genuinely held opinion rather than hyperbole, the F20C is the greatest naturally aspirated engine ever fitted to a production road car. I am aware that is an enormous claim. I am comfortable making it. Here is why. 2 liters of displacement, 240 horsepower, which gives you, if you're keeping score, 120 horsepower per liter from a road car engine without a turbocharger, without a supercharger, without any form of forced induction whatsoever. When you look at that number in context, it becomes almost offensive. At the time of the S2000's release, Ferrari's naturally aspirated road car engines were producing somewhere in the region of 85 to 90 horsepower per liter. Porsche was similar. Lotus, who are not exactly known for their lack of engineering ambition, was in the same territory. And here was Honda, the company that also simultaneously manufactured Civic and the Jazz and a range of perfectly pleasant lawnmowers, producing specific power outputs that made the most celebrated engine builders in the world look, frankly, ordinary. But here is what I think people miss when they talk about the F20C's headline figures. The number, astonishing as it is not the point. The number is merely the evidence. The point, the real point, is what Honda had to do to achieve it. To extract 120 horsepower per liter from a naturally aspirated engine, you cannot take shortcuts. You cannot compensate with forced induction. You have to be genuinely, ruthlessly brilliant at the fundamentals. The combustion chamber geometry has to be near perfect. The reciprocating components have to be as light as engineering allows. The valve train has to be capable of operating at rotational speeds that would destroy a lesser engine without a second thought. The intake and exhaust paths have to flow with an efficiency that borders on obsessive. And then there is VTEC. Honda's variable valve timing and lift system was not new in 1999. Honda had been developing and refining VTEC technology since the late 1980s. But the version fitted to the F20C was and remains its finest expression. What VTEC does in simple terms is allow the engine to run two distinct cam profiles, one optimized for efficiency and drivability at lower revs, and one optimized for outright power at high revs, and switch between them seamlessly as the engine demands. The transition happens at approximately 5,800 RPM. Now, I want to be careful here because I don't want to describe this as a driving sensation. I want to describe it as an engineering phenomenon, because what happens at 5,800 RPM in the F20C is not, as some people lazily characterize it, simply a power step. It is a fundamental change in the character of the engine. The intake valves open further. The cam profile sharpens, the engine's entire appetite for air and fuel increases dramatically, and the result is that the already impressive power delivery below that threshold is replaced by something that feels, to anyone paying attention, like a completely different engine. The rev counter sweeps from 6,000 towards 7, from 7 toward 8, from 8 toward 9. And at every point in that sweep, the engine is not running out of breath, is not becoming strained or desperate or rough. It is, if anything, becoming more refined as it approaches its limit. More focused, more insistent. The sound it makes at 8,500 RPM, a tightly wound, mechanical, almost metallic scream, is one of the most extraordinary sounds in the catalog of the internal combustion engine. In my opinion, it is the best sound a road car engine has ever made. And I've thought about that claim carefully, and I stand by it entirely. 9,000 RPM, that is the red line. And the reason 9,000 RPM matters, the reason it isn't just a number, is that it represents a choice. A deliberate, expensive, technically demanding choice made by Honda's engineers to prioritize the experience of driving over every other consideration. A higher red line requires lighter pistons, lighter connecting rods, a more sophisticated valve train, tighter manufacturing tolerances throughout. It costs more to build, it is harder to make reliable, it serves no practical purpose whatsoever. It serves only the driver. And that right there is the philosophy of the S2000 expressed in a single engineering decision. What Honda achieved here is not a compromise between performance and usability, which is what most sports cars are. What Honda achieved is the complete rejection of compromise in favor of a singular, unambiguous vision of what driving should feel like. The F20C doesn't just rev to 9,000 RPM because it can. It revs to 9,000 RPM because Uehara and his team decided that anything less would be insufficient, that the driver deserved better, that the car deserved better. I've always believed that the engines we remember, the ones that get written about 30 years later, the ones that inspire genuine passion rather than mere appreciation, are the ones built by people who were trying to achieve something beyond the brief. The Ferrari Flat 12, the Porsche 911 Flat 6, the BMW Straight 6 in its purest form, the F20C belongs in that conversation, without question, without hesitation. That is the foundation of the S2000. That is the philosophy it was built on, and the engine that proves the philosophy wasn't just marketing language. If you think the S2000 is the greatest roadster ever made, hit that subscribe button and check the description for my favorite car care essentials. And on that bombshell, I'm going back to the red line. Good night.